Hello, my name is Antoine Saliba. Today I'll be showing you guys how to install Jupyter Kernel Gateway on z/OS on an IBM Z mainframe. Before we get started, there's a few prerequisites that I will not be going over in this video. The first is actually having Izota installed on your IBM Z mainframe. A piece of Izota is called Anaconda, which we will be using very shortly. Second prerequisite is actually having Jupyter Hub, which is the front end, actually installed on a Linux machine, which connects to Jupyter Kernel Gateway. To get started, we'll need to use Anaconda to install a package named JKG2AT. This package is what provides the Jupyter Kernel Gateway solution on z/OS. Now, if you go over to the Izota Anaconda channel at this URL right here, you will see all of the packages that you can download from Anaconda on your IBM Z mainframe. So if we click here on packages, and we sort them, we should be able to find the package that we're looking for. So here it is, JKG2AT is the package we're looking for. So if we click on it, we'll actually see the instructions that are needed to actually install this. So we'll just copy this. So here we are on a SSH session within USS on z/OS. So we're in the root user directory for the SparkAD user, and here we can enter the command that we just copied from the website. So what this will do is look for the JKG2AT package and any dependencies that it has. We can click on Y here, and there we are. We have now installed all the packages that we'll be using for our configuration. Okay, so we have everything. It's now in Anaconda, so we're going to go and copy it to our root directory just to make it easier on us. So for our environment, our root Anaconda directory is this right here. So for you guys, this will most likely be different. It's just the root directory where you've installed Anaconda. The rest is going to be the same thing. So 3.6. Whoops, make this recursive. Okay, good. So if you're curious as to where the instructions are that we're following in this video, you can go within the JKG2AT folder, and here you'll find a README. So if we just look at this README quickly, these are the instructions that we will mostly be following for this tutorial. So refer to this if you have any questions. So if we go back out, first thing we're going to do is actually install the 3 kernels that I'm going to be using as an example here. The 3 are just a Python kernel, a Scala kernel, in which we can actually talk to Apache Spark, and a PySpark kernel, which can also use Python to speak to Spark. So there's going to be 3 commands here. That's going to install our Scala kernel. That's going to install our PySpark kernel. And now this is going to install our Python kernel. Great, so we have all 3 of those there. First thing we're going to want to do is actually go inside the folder that we copied over, and you'll see here a config skeletons folder. So first thing you'll want to do is actually go to this folder. You'll see here a file called Jupyter Kernel Gateway config.py, and we're going to want to go into this folder. So you're going to want to uncomment all of these out, and what you're going to want to do is actually change the IP address here to the IP address that your system has. So same thing with the port. I will not be changing mine here on screen, just as a safety precaution, but I advise you guys to do that. And then here, you're going to want to have some sort of SSL configuration. If we go back here for a second, you'll see I actually have a folder with this already, and it has the root CA that we'll need. It has the, I'm sorry, it's this root CA. It has the Jupyter key and Jupyter certificate. So once you have a key, a certificate, and your root CA, wherever that is, for us it's in this directory. So what we'll want to do is just copy that. We're going to go back to our configuration file, and here we just want to specify where we just were. So for us, it is in the root directory of the Spark AD user under the SSL folder. Great. So once you have that all done, you can save this and quit. And the next thing we're going to need to do is edit a configuration file that will actually be running before we start Jupyter Kernel Gateway. So the name of the file is kg2at_conf. You'll find it right here. And what this file does is it sets some environment variables and sort of puts everything in the right place before we start Jupyter Kernel Gateway. So the important thing to note here is that this will need to be sourced before every time that you want to start up Jupyter Kernel Gateway. So let's go in it, and there's going to be most of the fields here that are required have been commented out already. I've actually already put in our values for this, but here you're going to want to put in your own. So the first one is BD. You'll want to uncomment this out, and you're going to want to put your Anaconda root directory. Scale path, same thing. If you copied the folder for jkg2at into your user's root directory, that's where it will be. You want to make sure that you also have config skeletons here. jkg2at path, again, is just the user directory for where you copied those files over from Anaconda. And Jupyter kernels is where the kernels are actually being installed. So what you'll want to do is just put the user that you're currently logged in as, and this part will stay the same, the .local share Jupyter kernels. That's the default, that's where they all go. Then you'll want to make sure that you uncomment this line, the chi tag line out, just to make sure that it is in ASCII. Now I know some of these are marked as required lines, but we actually will not be needing any of these other than this copy line. So we'll want to uncomment that one out as well. If we keep scrolling down, you'll notice that some of these lines are required for ATTLS. We will not be using ATTLS for this tutorial. We'll be using SSL, so that's why those have remained commented out. So here you'll see you'll want to comment most of these out. So I'm sorry, you will want to uncomment most of these right here. So what you'll have, the first one you want to uncomment, the Python home, you just want to uncomment that one. It should already be set to be the environment variable BD that we set above. You'll want to uncomment just about all of these except for the term info. Term info we've kept commented. And then if you come down here, you'll notice that these three variables are required. Now for us, These are already set in our environment through a dot profile, so that's why we don't set these. But if these environment variables aren't set for you, you're going to want to set them right here. So what you'll want to do is you'll want to uncomment it out and then put a value here for the master port. So for us, like I mentioned, we don't need to do that, so we're just going to save and quit. So the next thing that we're going to do is actually edit the kernels that we have. So we've installed the kernels. I'm going to show you where they are. So let's go back to our root directory, and you're just going to have to do .local share Jupyter kernels, and then if we just cd here just for a second, we'll see all 3 kernels that we have. So these are all directories, and each of these is configured really the same way. All of these folders have a kernel.json file, and you do your configurations there. So the first one we're going to do is the PySpark one. So we're going to do this one. We're going to cd into that. Okay, so I've filled in everything for the kernel.json just so I don't have to type while I talk. So let's go through this, the things that you do have to change and add. So the first thing you'll want to add is this right here, IBM Java options. You want to make sure that you have the exact same line in yours. You'll want to set your Java home, so wherever that may be for your system, you want to set that. For the path, there's a few things here that are important. The first thing you'll want at the very start is your root directory of anaconda/bin. So wherever your root anaconda is, you just want to go there and then do a /bin. After that, you'll want your ported tool /bin. Then you'll want your Java/bin, so the same place where you did Java home /bin. And then if you plan on actually communicating with Spark, which a lot of people do, you'll want the root directory of where your Spark is located /bin again. So those are the 4 big ones. Once you have those set, you'll want to set up Spark home, which again is your Spark root directory, no /bin this time. This is very important. So if you do want to have this run in cluster mode, so that's a mode in Spark where you're using an established Spark environment rather than creating your own. So if you're using Spark in cluster mode and you want to use that with Jupyter Notebooks, you want to set this right here. The only thing you'll want to change is to actually add your IP address to Spark as well as the Spark port. So once you've changed that, you'll want to come down here, Python path. You'll want to set this. Now the tricky thing here is that you do not want to get Spark from Anaconda. I'm sorry, you do not want to get Python from Anaconda. You want to get Python from Spark, just in this line. So as you'll see here, this is our root Spark directory, and we just do a /python at the end of that. And then we have the same thing here where we want to get this zip file for py4j within our current Spark installation directory. The last 3 are important. You just want to have these set the same way that I do. So once you have that, I think you're all set. Let's go over the other ones. So again, these I have also edited already, and you'll be able to just copy everything. That all these values are the same that you had in your PySpark. So you're going to have your IBM Java options, Java home, your path, Spark home, Spark ops, and then these 3 as well. It's basically going to be the same thing that you had in PySpark, except you're not going to have your Python home and anything related to Python here. So once you've added everything here as well, let's quit out of here. Let's also see our just plain old Python kernel. And here you'll see, but this is a little bit different, a lot less stuff here. This is only going to run Python. And the first thing you'll have to do is add your Python path. Again, this is the same thing that we've been doing before. You just want to specify your root anaconda directory. For us, that's /spark/anaconda current. You're going to want to add these bpx job name, bpx share as, and then the ffi_lib. you're just going to want to use whatever value you used for Python path. You want to use that and then append libffi, sort of as I did. And for the lib path, you want to do the same thing, and then just append the /lib. The only other thing that you need to change is going to be what's here. It's going to say path to Python, and what you want to do is put your root anaconda directory here /bin/python, so it knows exactly where to find it. Once you have all of that set, you should be good to go in terms of your kernels. So what we're going to want to do now is actually source the first file that we looked at. So if we just go back into here, the file I'm talking about is this one right here. So what we're going to want to do is do a source. And there we are. We've now sourced our file. The environment variables that we cared about have been set. You don't have to worry about these. This is normal that these are not set. You're now ready to start Jupyter Kernel Gateway. So here's the command that we'll actually be using to start Jupyter Kernel Gateway. Now, in my case, I just want to pipe the output somewhere else, just so that my IP address and port aren't displayed in this video, but you're not actually going to want to do this. So this part right here, you can just ignore this. This is the command that you want to enter right here, the one that I highlighted. So we're going to click enter. What you'll see on your screen is that Jupyter Kernel Gateway has been started at the following IP address, followed by a port. And from that point, we're going to want to actually switch over to our browser. As I mentioned at the beginning of the video, one of the prerequisites to this video is to have Jupyter Hub, which is the front end, actually already configured on a Linux machine. So that will not be part of this video, but if you are interested in seeing how to set up the web interface that connects to Jupyter Kernel Gateway, please post a comment and I'd love to make a video for you. So we're going to just enter our credentials here, and we're going to be now introduced to our Jupyter environment. So here you'll see we have our folder as well as 2 Jupyter notebooks right here. So if you want to make a new notebook, you come up here at the top right under new, and you can actually click on all of these. These are the 3 kernels that we actually configured. So we have PySpark, we have our Scala, and we have our regular Python. So when you click on those, what you'll get, and I've already loaded these, is actually this very screen. So here you'll see at the very top right that this is a Scala kernel, so you're going to be able to write your Scala code here. And because we configured it within the kernel.json files to actually talk to our Spark in the backend, we're going to actually be able to do some commands here that get us back some Spark information. So the very simple one that we're gonna use is sc.version. SC stands for Spark context. So this is just going to get us back the version of Spark that this Jupyter notebook is connected to. So we're going to run that cell, and it's going to wait. It's going to create a Spark session, and there you go. We're connected to Spark 220. So if we do the exact same thing, if we had clicked on a PySpark kernel, we'd see no difference at all. It would be the exact same screen. The only difference here is that up here you see that it is a PySpark kernel. So you're going to be able to write Python here, and we're going to be able to actually run the exact same Spark command using sc.version to get back the version of Spark that we're connected to. Again, this should bring back the exact same version. So there we are. Spark 220 is what we are connected to. So we've now set up Jupyter Kernel Gateway on z/OS. It's running and it's connected to our Jupyter Hub front end. So that is the end of our tutorial. If you have any questions, any suggestions, any comments pertaining to how to set up Jupyter Kernel Gateway, please put a comment below. I'd love to hear. Thank you.